The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. And look who got out of the bunker today.
I'm not used to this at all. And we're actually playing with some new toys in the broadcast booth, and we have our new person who's on staff, Nisa, who is a wonderful addition to Spindle City Straight Talk and to South Coast Media, and she's already been welcomed to the governor's office. So. You know that we're getting some very reputable and credible people. So.
Well, it's Monday, and again a kind of light weekend. Because look, it's campaign season. The signs are going up all over the city. You know, I'm looking at the signs, and you know, we see what signs are with what other signs, and you know, and then they were talking about the Herald News is going to do an article about how Fall River got to where it got, and that really is like it is comical because I mean, we don't know how we got here. It's mismanagement, overspending, and typical government bureaucracy. And they said they're going to talk about how Fall River stands with taxes and things like this, which is absolute horse manure. The reality is, you can't just look at the tax rate. That's their con. That's the way they con people. Oh, Fall River's tax rate is lower. It's so low, it's one of the lowest in the state. No, it's not. It's not as low as the two cities that have the highest per capita income of our size, Cambridge and Newton. But it's also one of the highest in the state when you look at what the tax rate is in proportion to the household incomes and the income of the city. As a matter of fact, we had someone, one of our fans, actually do a study and send it to us. And CJ, maybe we should send that to the Herald News before they do their quote-unquote big editorial and expose on how Fall River got to where we are. Well, like I said, it was like walking around with your head in your derriere for about 15 years. That's how we got here.
Yeah, you know, Chip, this is getting to be ridiculous. We are rehashing the same crap over and over and over again. We don't seem to be able to say, okay, we know this is the problem. This has been the problem for 2-3 decades. Why haven't we done anything? Why? Because it doesn't line the pockets of the people who are involved. You look at this new committee, this new summit thing that the mayor set up for economic development. Look at the names and the people that are on this committee, this task force, whatever they want to call themselves. Every one of them has a vested interest to keep you, the people of Fall River, you, the voter, stupid, poor, and dependent. Sounds like the old Democratic Party line to me. But this is what happens. These aren't people that have any interest in making Fall River better. Whether it be Rob Mellion all the way down the line, these are people that want what's best for them. Rob Mellion is the puppet for the business community. The business community only wants to look out for their self-interest, which you can't blame them. You cannot blame them for that. But you know what? We need a committee of people. Mr. Mayor, we're over here. Maybe you can listen. We need a committee of people who are going to be vested in Fall River. Not in, am I going to get an expansion to my towel business? Am I going to get an expansion to my soup business? Am I going to get an expansion to my building? Am I going to get tax breaks for market rate housing, which is never going to happen? We want people who are going to actually listen to the business community, listen to the citizens, and come up with a divisive plan and decisive plan that actually puts together something that may work for Fall River, instead of going after the big dreams, the maybes, the, well, we can handle it. Where the people involved in these deals, such as the vice president of the Fall River Office of Economic Destruction and his wife, where everything's got to go through them before it goes anywhere else. And if you want anything, you've got to kiss their backside over and over again. That's not what economic development is about. Economic development is making Fall River better for everyone. That's jobs, that's business, that's how your community is. Economic development is a whole lot more than just getting potential 500 jobs in Fall River.
Well, divisive. It is. But that's ridiculous. You're talking about some common sense, CJ, that doesn't happen. And it's not only here. It's happening in Boston. I was listening this morning to a newscast about the Olympics and how it's actually the individual who spearheaded the charge to put it on the ballot that the taxpayers wouldn't have to pick up the bill. We literally saved billions of dollars. Because, again, in Boston, it's the same as Fall River. The big money people were going to make billions of dollars with the Olympics, and the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for cost overruns. And it's all about money. As we said on our first show so long ago, always follow the money. But, you know, now I'm going to get into something that's been bothering me for a while, too. It's about perspective. You know, we continue to say it's up to the people to change this, but the people have to pay attention, and they have to actually get their priorities in order. And let's face it, your living standard, the way you live in this community, the taxes you pay, should be a priority item. They have the most dramatic effect on your life. But what do we do in this society? I mean, it just irritated me so much when I see, and I know that there are men and women dying every day in Afghanistan and places throughout the world for this country, and you never see a news blurb. Yet, I have to watch a program being interrupted for a half an hour, and I see some imbecile walking around with a sign, "Free Tom Brady." A half an hour news show on the Patriots and his suspension. Will you people get a grip? Free Tom Brady? Who is he, Nelson Mandela? Did he spend 30 years in prison fighting against apartheid? The guy gets millions of dollars for throwing a football. Big deal. Free Tom. There were hundreds of picketers out there. And this is what we have in this country, rather than covering things that really matter, like soldiers dying, people sacrificing for this country, children without enough food to eat in one of the richest nations in the world. And this is what we waste our time on? That and Caitlin picking a dress? Come on. Give me a break. God, this is ridiculous. Have they made your brain into mush from giving you this pablum so long? I mean, let's get real. I mean, look at our society. This is what we occupy our time with. The biggest news item in Massachusetts is now whether Tom Brady gets suspended. And that shows something. That shows something that's very, very troubling about what we have in this nation and why it's a problem. Because the first thing they do in any country when they want to control the people is they eliminate the intellectuals, they take away the books, and they make them stupid. Well, and that's what they do. You can control people with military might or stupidity, and they a long time ago the church tried that. It was called the Dark Ages. And the sad part about it is it still works today. We have a state that's ranked 48th by that report we got.
Yes.
For being an economic disaster. Yet the biggest item in the state of Massachusetts is Tom Brady. And before I turn this over to you, there was a great line in one of my favorite movies, The Bronx Tale, when the young kid who was the kid whose story was basically about, was talking about how Mickey Mantle cried when they lost the World Series, when Bill Mazeroski hit a home run. And Chaz Palminteri, who played the mafia guy who was teaching about the street, said, "You know something, kid? How much does your father make for driving a bus?" And he said, Mickey Mantle makes $100,000 a year. He makes more than a president of the United States. He says, you think Mickey Mantle cares about you or your father or putting food on your table? And you know something? Think about that. Think about that, because it's the truth. Do you really believe that Tom Brady cares about there are people that don't have any food? Is this what it's that this country has become? That they're going to give us reality shows and divert our attention away from the fact that they're destroying the nation that we live in. And with that, I'm done ranting.
Well, Chip, it's very interesting that you should bring that up, because just before the show, we were having a small editorial meeting, for the lack of a better expression. We spoke on this directly. But, the thing that gets me is that here in Fall River, and I'm going to try to bring this back in a little bit. Here in Fall River, we've been doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. I'm not even going to get into some of the diatribe tripe that they spew on insanity and whatnot. But just from that movie, that quote, do you think that City Councilor Linda Pereira cares if you eat? Do you think if City Councilor Leo Pelletier cares if you eat? Ray Mitchell? Dan Rigo? The Sutter sellouts, as we like to call them? Do you think that any member of that city council really cares? They go out there, they say, oh, look at me, I'm over here, I'm talking at the breast cancer awareness fundraiser. Let me give you a little bit of stats on that. 30,000 women a year lose their life to breast cancer. 300,000 a year lose their life to heart disease. I don't see any heart disease fundraisers. That is the silent killer of women, especially, because the majority of women won't call 911. It's a little gas, it's a little acid indigestion. Doesn't work that way. But that's what happens here in Fall River. Nobody complains. They go like the old ladies on the fence, and they talk to their neighbors, and, he's always a big mouth, and they played their music till all hours, day and night, and da-da-da-da-da. Call the cops. I can't call the police. If I call the police, then they're going to beat me up. They're going to kill me. They're going to burn my house down. You know what? We need to stop being afraid. We need to stop being afraid of our politicians. If they don't take your phone call, don't elect them. If they don't do what you want, don't elect them. If they won't listen to you, don't elect them. Because it's very easy to see that Fall River, for the most part, for 3 decades minimum, has been stupid or flabbergasted.
Well, you've got to remember one thing. It's the other don't believe them. That's the problem. They feed you the propaganda that Fall River is great, Fall River is moving forward. It's always, we know we've had our problems, but we're continuing to move forward. Well, baloney. I mean, the new counselor, Steve Long, read some stats that I've been reading for 2 years. Don't believe me. Don't believe them. Go online. Get a computer. Go to the United States Census Bureau statistics. Look at what it says for the poverty level in Fall River. It says 23.3. Compare it with the 10 cities that are closest to us in population. You'll see we have the second highest percentage of people below the poverty level of any city of our size in this state. Look at the household income. It's the second lowest again. And what do we lead in? We lead in crime. We lead in heroin use. We lead in unemployment. We're always at the top of those scales. So don't listen to the BS. The fact is that they always tell you, the check's in the mail. Fall River's going to get better next week. It hasn't. For decades, this city has been eroding before our eyes. And for decades, those same city councilors have been saying, don't listen to those people. They're naysayers. Well, guess what? You 9 clowns got a report that confirmed all those statistics that was available to everybody. I had those for a year before that report was given to you. You don't have to be Einstein to go on a computer. Go to the U.S. Census Bureau and look at the stats. It'll give you all that. But average household income, but it's the fact that what irritates me more than anything else. Listen, You want to steal my money, as I always said, if you want to urinate on my head, at least extend me to courtesy and not trying to convince me it's raining. You know, the fact is, look, don't try to BS your way through. Don't tell me, at least if they said, look, Fall River's in a lot of trouble and we're going to try to fix it. No, they don't even give you that. They won't even give you that little bit of truth. It's always Fall River is, we're turning a corner. We're moving forward.
It's got to be the biggest corner in the world.
And it's like, Jesus, I mean, this is like, it's like the 100-year war, trying to get the truth out of these people. And this is the reason. And I don't care if you like these people personally. The fact is, if you get an auto mechanic that can't fix your car, you don't take your car to them. Damn it, get these people out of office.
But Shep, the thing is that the people of Fall River, the voters in Fall River, don't like change. But for the first time, 38 candidates, 38 potential candidates for city council. And guess what? The majority of them are not like the infamous nitwitted 9. Okay? They're regular Joes off the street. They're Joe the plumber, Nancy the nurse, okay? Tommy taxpayer. That's who they are.
Tommy
taxpayer. Okay? Well, that's all we have in Fall River is Tommy taxpayer. But you know, this is what we need to focus on. All right? A lot of these people have absolutely no experience, and that's fine. Okay? On-the-job training is better than what we've got right now, because what we've got right now is on-the-job rip-off artists, and it's got to stop. 38. That's a lot of people. And that means you, the voter, need to research every single one of these people. You need to find out where they stand. Find out where they are. Go meet them. And if they don't come to you and you're serious about making a change in Fall River, go to them. I got to divert from this a little bit now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. 38 people. Sean Kadim. Sean Kadim decided to run for city council. Is that because he made the promise to Seekonk that he wouldn't run for mayor? And when I turned around and pointed out the facts of Sean Kadim's administration here in Fall River as a city administrator, I was attacked. Like you're going to be when you leave here tonight from the Patriots supporters outside. But I was attacked. You know, oh, you're just a naysayer. How can I be a naysayer? I'm saying the facts. Fact. He negotiated the contract which put the fire department in jeopardy. Fact.
2 contracts.
2 contracts, okay? Fact. He was part of the creation of the pay-as-you-throw program. Even though it was created after he left office, he was part of that. He was part of we're financially stable. Remember that statement? Oh, we're in a good position right now, which we never were. And then he turns around and says that the fiscal 16 budget wasn't conservative enough? Come on. Come on. Are you people going to buy this? Are you really going to buy this? If you are, I'm going to tell you right now, bag it and find out from Paul Schmidt where he sells his to, because I'm going to tell you now, you got plenty there to sell. All right? It's that simple. Now, Steve Camara, as we all know, and full disclosure, Steve does work here at the studios, is running for city council. You know, Steve and I used to be very much opposed on many, many issues. But what I can say about Steve is, over the years, age has brought a great amount of wisdom, not only to Steve, but also to me. And I look forward to debates with every city council candidate. And I look forward to debates with everyone. So we now see that we've got another longtime city council candidate coming back to take another bite at the apple. We have Emerald Gaudette doing the same thing. Emerald Gaudette, and I've seen the signs out there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this election actually pans out.
Well,
and then, of course, the big news, the huge news. Candidate for mayor, papers were taken out, Jordan James Sylvia. Known very well in Fall River, known in Brockton, known in Newport. Been very well known throughout the recall. He's going to run for mayor. Now, I'm not going to say whether that's a good or a bad thing, because I firmly believe that anyone who decides to run for public office is taking a lot on their shoulders and shows that they want to be involved in the process. I think we need to listen to every candidate and make sure that we know where they stand. And for those of you who are running out the door saying, oh no, I've already made my choice, it's going to be Sam Sutter or Jason Correa, there are other people out there. Listen to them first, listen to their plans, and please, don't buy the pablum. Don't sit at the Chinese sandwich dinner.
Chinese sandwich dinner. That's a good one, TJ. I got to find that one out. I got to find a place that serves Chinese sandwich dinners. Okay. Okay, you mean chow mein sandwich.
Well, any sandwich you want at this point, because I'm telling you, it's ridiculous.
But let's have a novel idea here. Let's actually put people in our government that actually have to live on a budget that are regular people, as you said. You know, the fact is that these people can actually look at this budget, and when you go in front of them and say, this budget isn't balanced, they understand, because in their house, if their budget is balanced and the gas bill and the electric bill come in, they can pay the both of them. If it's not balanced, they have to say, I can't pay my bill this month.
Oh, you mean like if we pay the retirement fund, we can't pay our employees?
Right. and you know, I find it really ironic that when you go to court, the judicial system says you should have a jury of your peers, yet we don't have a government of our peers. We have a government made up of the privileged few. You know, our congressmen are a monarchy. I mean, they live by their own rules. I mean, geez, our Congress even runs D.C. You know, D.C.'s budget, you can't, they don't have a budget unless Congress approves them. They don't even have any rights. And, you know, it's the capital of the nation, but it's a district. And Congress actually, and if you listen to some of the absurdities that they use for not approving stuff, they're so politically motivated. But what we need in government is a perspective not based on the rich and the privileged, because that's who runs government now. That's why we get the big dig. That's why they wanted the Olympics. That's why they do the things they do. That's why you have, 10 super PACs financing every political candidate that they want in office. And it's all about money. We need to put the country back in the hands of the majority, who are the people who have to work every day, who have to live on a budget, who have to actually make their money stretch. Not say, I'm going to spend every dime I got, and then I'm going to just tax you more. And see, that's a perspective. And we look at this city council, and we go, what is wrong with you people? You go in front of them and you tell them they've gotten $42 million more in the last 5 years to use, and they're still out of money. So they've proven one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt. Regardless of how much money you give them, they are going to spend every single penny and ask for more.
Every Bond is asking for more.
Well, Barry Bonds. That was Barry Bonds. Yeah. Well, that Sean Kadeem thinks that you can bond forever. But the reality is that we need to go back. We need to go back in time. And people, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. True. Years ago, if you were a politician and you raised taxes every year, you weren't in office.
That's right.
If you bonded everything, they rode you out on a rail. But in the years, their propaganda machine and their pablum and the Kool-Aid has created a society that's so, their minds are so numbed by this barrage that they're more concerned with Tom Brady than the fact that they've actually now perpetrated the lie that it's our obligation to pay more taxes every year.
Chip,
it's our duty.
But we're responsible for it. We're responsible for it.
And I don't. Obviously, I said, look, when you're carrying a Tom Brady sign, free Tom Brady, I don't even know. You want to know if that individual votes. Because if he does, I'm sure he doesn't look at anybody's record, because
and the thing is
it's
that
absurd.
Media portrays this propaganda. I mean, if you looked at the recent stories in the Herald News about what Fall River wants, what I want for Fall River and whatnot, we had people like Pat Norton who called out every single candidate for office, every city elected official saying, you've never come down to the Narrows, and we're here and we're trying to make this grow. I think the Narrows is a wonderful place. You got no parking. but they're a wonderful place. Then you had Nancy Paul from the
Star.
Yeah, from the well, I wanted to call them the fortress of of money up on Stanley Street, wanting more money. They all want their own political diatribe, but the funny thing is, we're all toting the torch for the current needs that they have, the current needs for them, not for the people of Fall River, not for what will make Fall River better. And more particular, a lot of them toted the Samuel sellout sign, okay? That is what gets me. That is what truly gets me. The Herald News has been guilty and is guilty of the propaganda spreading throughout the city because they're the ones doing it. They're the ones making it happen, and you're buying their papers, supporting the lies. You've supported the lies for years, and we know that.
I think the Herald News makes great birdcage bottom.
I wouldn't even wrap my fish in it.
But look, you know, the people have to begin again to be involved. They have been. And, you know, you have to give some credit. Fall River was the first community in the history of Massachusetts to have a recall, and we got rid of a mayor. And, you know, that was epic. It was historic. But the problem is that should have been the beginning and the beginning of the change, not the end. We got rid of a mayor that was horrendous, and we got one that was even worse. You know, but I mean, what are you going to do? But it shows what you should do. That is, you hire somebody to do a job, they don't do a good job, you never hire them again. And you hire somebody to be a mayor, and we hired Sam Sutter. He's not doing a great job. Time to get rid of him, give somebody else a chance. And the fact is that ultimately, if you continue to do this and politicians realize they're not going to have a trough to feed in for decades, they might start actually working in the best interest of the taxpayer rather than the best interest of special interest groups. And you're right. How many of these programs, they cry for more money and more money and more money and more money, and when was the last time you saw somebody in that place ever not get a pay raise? When did you ever see any attempt at reorganizing to make it more efficient and more effective like it's done in private industry? The answer to that question is never. Never. You never see anybody in this city go. When was the last reorganization? 30 years ago? And that reorganization was a political reorganization to justify pay raises for the people that are connected. You know, this is the facts. The fact is that, you know, if you're a working class person who has to pay your bills, let's look at ensuring that whoever sits in those seats, whether it's in the 6th floor of the government center or in the city council chamber or on the school committee, is working in the best interests of you, not the privileged few. We have super PACs on the federal level, and we have mini super PACs in Fall River. We all know who they are. We know who all the money people follow the money. And that's the problem. Fall River is not their personal piggy bank, and it's time to make a change. So get upset, vote, and let's change this. Let's continue what we started in the recall.
Yeah, but you know, you just got to look at what happens. I mean, a property was taken off a tax auction because it was going to somebody else as a political favor or whatever the case may be. Oh, it was promised. I don't want to hear it. Goes to tax auction. It gets auctioned. You don't promise it off. All right? You look at those property transfers, you look at the sales of some of these buildings, they go to people that want them for their own huge personal gains, and other people who bid were knocked out even though they're the high bidder. And we see this all the time. So, and with that, we're ready to go.
Another Monday.
Another Monday. Hey, we'll see you Wednesday here on Straight Talk. Thanks for watching, and if you got any comments, shoot us some email. Have a great day.
Stay angry.